You're watching TVC Breakfast. Let's head to Ekiti State now. In just about 3 days, everyone will be going into the ballot or to the polls to select the governor for the next 4 years. But we have our correspondent in there, our senior political correspondent, Ayodele Zumwako, standing by there to bring us up to speed with developments there. Ayodele, it's good to have you join us right now. We know that on a day like this, in a build-up to the election, the atmosphere will be charged up. Bring us up to speed with what we need to know, in the build-up to the election in Ekiti State.
Yes, Mike, the normal campaign, period from today, tomorrow, is going to end by 12 midnight tomorrow. That's when all campaigns are expected to stop. Political parties are wrapping up their campaigns. 16 political parties will be taking part in this exercise. And Ekiti, a small state with 16 local governments and with close to 1 million registered voters and people with PVC. The only different thing now is that wherever we've been covering election before, this off-season election, a day like this, we're expected to go to the Central Bank of Nigeria to go and see INEC dropping their materials. The sensitive materials will be expected to arrive at the Central Bank of Nigeria, but INEC is saying no this time around, that they are not keeping the sensitive materials with the Central Bank of Nigeria. It's going to be coming directly to the state office of the Independent National Electoral Commission here in Ekiti. So stakeholders are expected to converge together this morning to see and witness how the sensitive materials will be coming. So I'm not doing this alone. You want to help us make sense of this new development that INEC is not using the CBN as they normally do for all the elections.
Well, you have to background it from the very the intervention that we saw during the primaries, where the CBN governor was dilly-dallying as to whether he wants to
he went to court,
throw his heart into the ring and all of that. That brought a reputational challenge for the CBN in terms of its ability to be neutral, and safeguard those sensitive materials and not tilt it in favor of any political party. So if you remember, we raised a lot of issues around the continued domiciling of sensitive materials in CBN. Not necessarily because CBN in the past has not done a good job. But if, for instance, the election goes whichever way, election is a party. You went and kept our material in the party office instead of so that
you are a registered member of
political party, and so that perception has been erased. INEC responded to us in the sense in which they now are finding ingenious way of doing this. But at the end of the day, we still will have to find very, very secured way, because there are still questions about how secured this sensitive
can they actually carry out this responsibility by safeguarding these sensitive materials, especially if we are having a general election like 2023.
So what was the rationale in the first instance to domicile it in the CBN? Is because it's secured and it's not going to be available for interference, internal subterfuge that we normally see. So I think INEC is done well for perception purposes, and is important for electoral integrity, that at the end of the day, different stakeholders can feel a sense that that there's a level playing ground, and that this is not tilted in favor of anybody.
We had a stakeholders meeting yesterday. Can you keep us up to speed what actually transpired? The Inspector General of Police was there, the INEC chairman was there.
Well, I think generally is to talk about, to brief stakeholders about the level of preparedness of INEC. Of course, the INEC chairman talked about the number of PVCs that have been collected, and how they would also ensure that more people are able to collect their PVCs until it's difficult to do so. And of course, the police will give a rundown about the number of deployments and all of those issues. But basically, it's to all prepared stakeholders that, look, Saturday, the 16th of June, is a reality, and that different stakeholders are prepared. And if you remember, INEC came here some 3 weeks back to do a run on the beavers in 12 locations.
Yes, I wanted to say the beavers is, the off-season election they've been having and the by-election we've been having, there's been always this hiccups with the beavers. What efforts, Madam?
Well, the first thing INEC did is to test run in 12 locations. But for me, that is insignificant in terms of over 2,000, polling units that you're going to be having in the state. But it's important that there's a show to always inspire confidence in the voters that they are working very hard. But the whole business of oversighting elections is why we're here. The media, the civil society, and other stakeholders must put an eye to make sure that we don't see a replay of the kind of things we saw in Anambra. Yeah. We don't see a replay of the FCT elections, and hoping that if during some of the engagements with INEC, the ICT department is assuring that troubleshoots at any point in time. Yeah. And we hope that the challenge may not necessarily be whether people are trained. We are hoping that INEC, unscrupulous INEC officials, do not change those who have been trained. Substitute those who have been trained for untrained people who would then cause problem on election day. And so it's important because what has happened is that, we've scaled up training because that's the response of INEC. We scaled up training, and then the RATEX, that's the guys who do the troubleshooting, have been trained and all that. But what we saw in FCT and Anambra was not so much that those machines were malfunctioning, but it was that it could not be. Many of the folks who were operating them didn't know what to do.
Now, do you have a kind of updates on what happened in the FCT election and as regard electronic transmission of results from the polling units?
There was a lot of delay. In the FCT, you didn't have the results real time. In most of the places, and that caused a lot of anxiety and challenge. But like I said, there has been several engagements with INEC. The chairman came here. The chairman himself came to Ekiti before now and came back again for this stakeholders meeting. All is about reassuring citizens, but there's a long distance between expectations and outcomes, and those are the things that we have to be pinning ourselves on, because we are testing out the Electoral Act 2022 as amended in Ekiti.
This is the first time out.
Yes, and we are hoping to also use it to foreshadow, the 2023 elections. But the graph of INEC has always been up and down. It will do well in some places, and then it just crashes all the expectations. But the outlook for Ekiti needs to be positive. We need to look at it from the more positive. It's 16 local governments. It's not as there are not too many. There are no.
It is a very small.
That's what I'm saying. 16 local governments. Not many. You don't have riverine.
Yes,
you don't have places, unreachable places, and all of those issues like you have in Anambra and the insecurity and all that. And then politically too, the outlook is better than 2018. By this time in 2018, you could feel a lot of tension. But as you know, going out since yesterday, there's been issues, skirmishes here and there, but it's not been as vociferous as what we saw in 2018. So I've been telling the Ekiti people that it's important that they maintain this, that they maintain peace, that they also continue to invest in the Omoluabi tag that is associated with the Ekiti people. And then they can also stay away from the Boko Sebe thing that they introduced into the political lexicon in 2018. They brought that in 2018, that they can begin to wash off that black tar that they injected into our political culture, and see how we can move away from transactional engagements that we have seen in the last in 2018 and thereabouts.
Now, in terms of political parties now, from 1999 till now, it used to be, between just two parties. Right now, we are getting the vibe of even smaller parties, so-called smaller parties. Even the Social Democratic Party now, if I can mention it, the Social Democratic Party now is showing up strong, across all the local government. The former governor of the state is actually running under that political party. And I've seen parties like ADP doing door-to-door. I've seen one lady, I think you have 2 women in this race.
The ADP woman.
And they changed the campaign tactics. That is not the normal rally. Now they changed it to door-to-door. And quite effective when you look at, to cut costs and everything.
Well, they may cut costs, but we have to interrogate what that door-to-door means. Is door-to-door a veil for pecuniary engagements with the voters? Or is it an opportunity to sell the... As
Yaga Africa discovered earlier.
So the pre-election observation report of Yaga Africa, and not just Yaga Africa, the media in Ekiti are already rife with the fact that this door-to-door needs to be interrogated so that we can unpack what it's truly about. There has not been a lot of engagement even with the media in terms of adverts, and all of those issues. And the media in Ekiti has been shouting that, hey, what this election, we are not getting patronage, we are not seeing people, we are not seeing, adverts in the way we used to see. So what does it mean? Are people keeping their money for E-Day?
Or just devise a new strategy to reach out
to. But whatever it is, at the end of the day, it boils down to ensuring that the Ekiti people understand that there is a relationship between how you vote and the development governance outcomes that you get eventually. And that, for me, is the huge challenge of the Ekiti election. We have seen a spiraling of the monetization of primaries, and how that has become a booster for people saying, hey, if people who went to Abuja got this, in quotes, amount of money, why are you telling us